94.7 Asempa FM so ne Ekosiisen dwumedie ne wasogu so a wotie no mede ndi osaibo so me na munyina asese matwen yen amayako aba in studio MP secondary constituency deputy energy minister lawyer Andrew Ejapa Mesa owaha Martin Kadada Sanso and a former deputy communications minister the Felix Kwachi Ofusu 2020 abatwa yekokoto no ye parliamentary candidate Emma NDC war. Abra Asebu Kwaman Kese constituency in the central region of Ghana. In Penifom Yuni anyone ABD and Komamenka was a discussion segment here. Franco trading Abohonka Castrol or say it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering, TCL, the creative life, dependable herbal, de Adon Malakio Abba, and a global lighting center limited in Kania Pafie. And the minority in Ghana's parliament. Eshe won ranking members forum no ase the first in the series no omoshe the economy and the ranking member on the finance committee Dr. Casey Lato Forsen on no any presentation and omuwie na open forum so the chairman for the occasion na a minority leader Honorable Haruna Idrisu and Felix Ekokopie mo ewo presentation ni bi edanim o kyeremu a ene no they are talking data and data no say aban modern bo in terms of managing the in debt and the economy generally no fantifo beka say omonyo Felix mayentio what in the presentation
modi omonyo maminche ti from some ba ha chekaka amintia minia Japan Mesa am say nyame aye na domene okan empenofo ebu o man no deputy minister for energy enye dumaketua na mmom se aban ne hyehyɛ no nya na endimu nti obɛbɔ ne homɔden bia de ne so nya de a akufo ado no ba me aban no ɛbɛbo ade akɔnkan ɛwɔ ba bia but I wish him well in his new portfolio.
Okay.
Mesre se obeti enim. Obi no kre ɛyɛ dom kuma ɛwɔ no ahye bedwam a owura Haruna Idrisu Dano ɔmo de nhyehyɛ bia betudwa a ɔmo kyerɛ mu a ebra no no ɔmo ne Ghana fo ebedi nkomo ewo akwanya bi a yɛde ato din sɛ policy dialogue series empempi no so ɔmo yɛ nhyiemu wɔ parliament ba parliament no ɛnyɛ obia na otumi nya akwanya kɔkɔ nti produce ɛhɔ no yɛ a bit intimidating woto nsa frɛ mpanimfoɔ kɔ ɔmo ntumi nkɔ so so sɛ politics no dɔɔso wɔ hɔ nti sia no mo yɛ bɛkɔ abɔnten yɛde bɛbɛn Ghana fo na yɛhwɛ mu a baabi a ɛhɔ ene yɛ no ɛboa man komodi ɛte saa akɔso yie no ɛyɛ academic institutions nti na yɛkɔ UPSC ɛbɛbi bɛba a ɔmɛkɔ ɛyɛ University of Ghana ana sɛ Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology mama meta medical school ɛne other institutions na ɛne de di kan a ɔn bɛtu dwa no na ɛfa ɔman no sikasɛm ntoto yɛ ho de bonifre no economic management ho obi efi afe 2018 Eko 2019 ebepim 2020 ebede di pefe se oman o how kese a edi yenya pa a ama ahokyere aba Ghana fo so eye ade a yefe no budget deficit eye akomasika yedi manabro so ene ekaburuburu a akufo ado ba omi aban no abo ede ato Ghana fo so ene Ghana fo esu tete ewo etuo bebrebe a omutua ho ene petrol ne bo aye den ene ohia aka omo a ne nyina efisa na ema mi sande akoba ne se yedi akomasika no manabro so enu nti no se yenya sika bia se yekotua de yedi ye no ansa na nya foforo aye de se ye nenne enu echi no so ya bobosia mana tram yen nti insi hu ene eka yetua no eji oman ne sika ni nyina nti aban ni akwenya a odisika foforo be hye baabi a enu nti no ewo se okoto etuo mu increase taxes yato etuo mu so a me no mienu ne yebre sansa woto nso we 1 cedi o hye beto no 2 cedis nti the friend disposable income sika be ka won sa obetumi edi hwehwa ho no na eso ehwan. So it is these two that are the heart of our economic predicament. Na empempio no ne before di nkomo a omo pese omo dada Ghana fo se eye covid nti na akoba ne saa asem no enye no kre ene dwumedi e course wo UPS no based on evidence data e kire pefe say the situation started deteriorating in 2018, 2019, budget deficit, no, it started rising in 2018, 2019, up to 2020. Answer na COVID ebe no. Na anyama say. It because the COVID only worsened a bad situation. Into any see a mom who kwan, a mom de COVID year excuse. A year article for reporter. Many Japaka and Wasam, Roshemwa, they even stated, said the situation deteriorated before COVID came in. COVID only worsened the bad situation. Na nedu media no na enema miensa ne ditu dwa. Edi kan no. The focus was on Ghana's debt profile over the last 20 years, if 2000 up in 2020. And now two, they refer to debt sustainability issues. Say ya bobosi and you betumi etua. And I feel so and the yes ye I betumi feel how I won't see him. As for debt, public debt profile, it's common will be any. A year time I'm on Penico for Belconason. Now a car dear in terms of dollar equivalent, no, was about 7.1 billion dollars. Ofio Kunyasono now 8 billion. The truth is that or the 5.7 billion account no because of HIPIC, you do completion points no. Almost the 5.7 billion dollars HA. It was not because of Mampeni Kufomo de Muslim could be Nemo Huna or more boy and Bosian who ye mobile. And now a cannot change. Inti President Mills buy no. Or the fee a year $8 billion, I call $19 billion. This is an increase of 26 billion Ghana cedis and now $11 billion. And now President Mama buy. President Mama did 9.6 billion and a car in terms of dollars. A car dear. Because of exchange rate movement in T, dollar a course was in city no. So convertible cities or the 84 billion Ghana cedis in the account. And someone now Dr. Bamianam say yeah the $37 billion and it's a baseless lie. It was not the economics that he was doing, he was dabbling in propaganda. There's no facts and figures sheet or be a confirm. So and the says Ghana for most it is a complete lie. From 2017, Ebepim 2020, Omampina go for the boy kunyano so na ye de ka $28.7 billion. That's January 2017. The CD equivalent, 120.2 billion Ghana cedis. That is fiscal year ending 31st December 2016. Because on my music assembly, that's how we do it. Fiscal year. It's year on year. Or if you 28 billion, equal $50.8 billion as of December 2020. In terms of dollar equivalent, no, or the $22 billion in account in a space of 4 years. Mind you, say NDC time, no, a space of 8 years, which is roughly around $20 billion, 11 plus 9. On my penny, I could 4 years at the $22 billion CD equivalent 171 billion Ghana cedis. And they count within the space of 4 years. My main show say, me no say public debt is 332 billion. But as of December 2020, now 291 billion Ghana cedis. So this is a debt profile.
And the $22 billion are all kind of first term, no? Now the value of borrowing and I say a debt stock.
You see, sir, as I'm making, you see, all governments have been affected by all the components of debt.
Okay.
Actual money is borrowed.
Okay.
Exchange rate movement.
Okay.
If I was buy an exchange rate movement, NDC. So most of accumulation was due to exchange rate movement, not actual bonus yakobo. And additional borrowing. It's common to all governments. President Akufo-Addo has not faced any peculiar situation in terms of what constitutes a public debt. You can say you've added. And analysis here, all governments have added. It doesn't mean President Mama borrowed 84 billion. No, he didn't borrow 84 billion. He added 84 billion based on all the contributory factors. It's the same analysis. We are comparing apples to apples.
Fair.
I will be anyhow. Now you see, it is a wushemwa. A car on my day and net as of December 2020. Now if you come and come up pencil, a bepim on my penny. Akufo-Addo pencil. So, oh, mama. Oh, my don't disrupt my flow.
No, but Monu,
Mammy, we are just my assembly will be a
small observation. It would there. And the payers and topics. The Yamba name bed and Yamba discuss.
Yes.
Now, I prepare with topics no with my data and my bets in the studio. Then all of a sudden, you know, end this for Wakaye Abadabade dialogue series. Documenting Kramuni. Oh, remember, so what the studio Hano? Then that becomes the topic that we have to discuss.
That one they are published. It's out there.
Maybe so. Is it fair?
And actually,
now I'll deal with the issues. But me the context within which I'm making this statement.
I get you. Your feedback well noted.
I don't understand.
Beyond everything, it's also minister, deputy minister. And here, you do not streets so you should have information about governments. Offended. I mean, I'm a deputy information minister, deputy communications minister. But I had all these facts not because I was exceptional, but I sought information. It's a business, maybe I'll be able to tell you. So you have the same responsibility as everybody else. I don't see how that becomes.
No, but Okade, he was not pre-informed. In the
advertising. You see, we advertise here. We advertised. As an analyst, you should be prepared for all times. Maybe when you raise energy issues, I'll be compelled to respond. Energy ministry.
Yeah.
So I could say that I'm also handicapped about energy matters. Give me time to go and research, but it's not allowed. In any event, it will abandon. As far as make it so I have public knowledge on here, BB's room. Now, Obi Mamenkoso, a year President Akufo-Addo, he has contributed 60%. He has contributed, and Mamenka said, a year you made the we wanted to be fair and balanced. It's here to suffer finance ministry. Emma, finance minister said, John Kuma, his deputy.
Oh, John Kuma
yes,
was there.
He was there. He was even allowed to speak. We have not done anything on the blind side of the government. It was live. A buying penning and it was part of the process. Kasai. So I must put that on record. Into Mampene Akufo-Addo has contributed 60% of Ghana's entire public debt. Maminche must say this is against a backdrop of positions that they took in opposition about borrowing. They condemned borrowing. Indeed, there are videos of Dr. Baumia and now head of economic management team. You can say that he is responsible for this mess. Oh boy, she say and that Bosia Yabon can be to me 1,000 factories. So we can hold him strictly to the claims that he made. In any event, on page 13 of 2016 manifesto, they made a categorical promise to reduce borrowing. It is against that context. Now, yes, analysis. But Obi, Bosia bought in itself, Nanya, Asemwa, Echeso. So, we call Japan, UK, US, almost how many endorse singing Bible. Japan alluded to it, but I will address that. Into the facts that what they car 332 billion, okay, no nyasem. The profile itself is not an issue. But what is an issue? The sustainability of the debt. You can't sustainability. I say, Bosia wabon ube to me a tia. Into me and I bet me a Bosia. Wo be 100 billion, maybe 100 billion. And so be a businessman. Into who will you 100 billion no coin. To be sketch ya. Ebi I may 100 billion no, medical sit down, but I may not have a means to repay. So, we calculate here, we both owe 100 billion, but you are in a much better position to pay. Until your debt is sustainable. What do you know about me? I mean, the end is not sustainable because many are going to be here. So that is the most critical component in terms of debt analysis. And it's not just the figure. And also, me no. Nipa do na see debt sustainability. Ebi na me nua ye. Oma dwen ko gina de friend public debt to GDP ratio. Eye e ka wo de no. Ye de toto oma ni sikasem ne kese a eye. Ye ka GDP a. Eye sikasem ne kese a eye. E che se edwadie bi e koso wo Ghana ha. Ye ka bom. Na ya hwese oma ni sikasem no tesen. Na ye de atoto oma ne ka ede ho. Se eyade a ebro ohanchemu eduoso 70% a na akase masa you are getting to unsustainable and now you've reached a level that is not sustainable. And sure you want to mean here. But you see, what for debt to GDP ratio keka obeyem from so. You will commit what the economists call the politician's error. I don't know, meaning the politician's error. Or say, now you can almost 99% debt to GDP ratio. Now covered by but you see, that is not the problem. the key difference between yen any countries like Japan, Denmark, US, UK, and even some sub-Saharan African countries, say South Africa, Nigeria, it's our ability to pay. And as you bet to me a tiana. It's a debt to GDP ratio, no. It is an indicator. In any event, here the end of passing on by December 2016, now your debt to GDP ratio, what they a car ye no etoto or minus kasam de kesia eya. Na e yo hanche mu eduonu mu nsia 56%. As of December 2020, na ehwe ko gina 76%. In fact, IMF aka we IMF document say by 2025 your debt to GDP ratio be 85% if the trajectory continues, and there's every indication say it will continue. So it is not the debt to GDP ratio figure itself that is worrying. There are several other indicators. Debt sustainability analysis. That is where the difference is. To be able to pay your debt, you need to generate revenue. In fact, when say be 100 but the share business be into business no the product of your business so you can service your debt. We bet to your interest, it's your amortization. Just interest in amortization yes say wutia kan ankasa. Nti say 100 billion akwaje ya. Say wutia 100 billion maybe on the bank line say metua na mfie du. Nti afi bi ma mu say. That is amortization. But answer no betua afi no say bosumi bi otua nsi ho. Enema menu na bom na debt servicing. So betumi etua sa de na you must have revenue. Say wunya kwan of us wunya sika ebu o man no. Revenue no so ye chemu mienu. Ye wo domestic revenue. Sika yenya na Ghana ha. Ene ye wo export revenue. Sika si ekoton no baye e wa manone. Ebia gold, cocoa, oil na ade yenya. Wo ka mienu no bomu a. Na wo de atoto eka wo de no ho ahwe se obetumi atia. Nti ye frɛ no public debt to domestic revenue ratio. Me no work say as of 2016 na wo hwɛ ye revenue enya no Ghana ha na domestic revenue na what is to ye ka no ho a na ye ka no bro domestic revenues no so by 381%. It means that now we hear 3.8%, sorry, 3.8 times of our revenue to be able to pay off our debts. And then we know say we hear 5.4 times as of 2020. Just that the situation has worsened. We hear 5. As sika yenya no Ghana ha in terms of total revenue. Enum ansana yetumi tia eka ye de. Time no man penny mama was no here miensa any echire pon watching. So the situation is much worse today than it was under President Mama. Etosumi no domestic revenue. Enya revenue nyina na edi tia eka. Se wokoto ade, wokoto nsuo wa bontia. Sika wokoto nsuo need to be counted as part of our GDP. But sa GDP nya aban sika. Se nsuo ni 5 cities nya aban dia. Na mom the tax component na da so no e na ya aban dia. Nti sa aban kan nyina oje eto sa na o kan nyina bomu a. Wo betumi de eto no atoto e ka wo de no ahwe se an aso wo nya sika e kon kan betumi de etu aka na na. Nti no ye public debt to tax revenue ratio. As of 2016, now we hear 495% of tax revenue near Geno, and now to mediate here. Inti, then say you need about 5 times the tax that we were generating to be able to pay off our debts. Me know what I say. We hear 6.5 times, 656%. And some way to me year curfew. Mind you, so say, I say, a bang way at the tour. In the last 4 or 5 years, they've got over 200 billion Ghana cedis in terms of tax revenue. Now, what they are not in Chinese one. One say a car, the domestic component, they are bonds near the other. Into domestic treasury bills are buying. You should look at Tobia, a Bosnia, and now a Bible. Yeah. Into Ubetiano. We will swear. Your export revenue. Cocoa go near the other. But domestic debt, no, the domestic revenue, and it's here because they see this when here about physical. And an external component of the debt, no, you need foreign currency. How do you get foreign currency? I just want to turn your another way of assessing whether you are able to pay your debt is to compare your external debt, the year about physical, to how much money you are raking in from your exports. Into external debt to export ratio. So I just want to make it. Into also 2013. Na yakokoton enyama wa amanonia. Emu ohanche mu eduoson mienu. Ene echire pon wotwe 72.8%. Na yetumi di tia eye the external component of our debt. By 2016, na ehwekosoro kakra to 94.6%, which meant that sika yenye free niama yetona manone no. So what the ball man mu a na emu ohanche mu eduokon en9 utumi di tia eka ye de e wa manone. But you didn't need to use all to pay.
Yeah.
By 2019, I'm sorry, so COVID-19 and Yama say, Mr. December 2019, na COVID in you, and I'm
na Emma Ghana.
There be no in Ghana, so we are not affected. Good. But as of December ending 2019, now we needed 130% of our export revenue to service or pay off our external debt.
External debt.
Until from 94% in 2016 to 130%. That's an increase of 36%. Until actually say na sika yenye free niama yetona manoni nyina no. Enso eka ye de na manoni tua. Ade se yesenya ohanche mu eduasa 30% ka ho ansa na yetumi atua. So the claim is say things deteriorated only in 2020 no cannot be true on the basis of data. We know a Bank of Ghana data. And which you know me no work as as of end of December 2020, na free 130% in 2019 to 171%. It will be yakoto ne manu wa ne nyina enso eka ye de abochie ne petua wo. Ade se senya o hanche mu eduoso baako another 71% come ansana. This is a disastrous position to be in. The other one is domestic debt to domestic growth. So what the eka ye de no Ghana ha ye Ghana for ka ye de omo no etoto eye sika yenye free Ghana hana minus export revenue.
Yeah.
2013 na ye hia 154%. And yet immediately saka no. By 2016 na ekosoro to 163%. Me no ka say. As of December end 2020, a 278%. In other words, we need almost 3 times the domestic revenue we are making now to pay off domestic debts. 3 times. This has nothing to do with COVID. And what you know, the other key indicator, debt service to tax revenue. We say I can't debt service now. Machiro almost say
I can't bear 2 minutes.
No problem. I mean, there's more. There is a friend saying, there is debt service.
Yeah.
Interest and amortization.
Yeah.
In Sihu, any ekanankasa wutia. But a tax revenue, any duty no. Into tax revenue, no. What's your budget? See a revenue, total revenue of 72 billion. Yeah, the 35 billion and a bit your interest pay. Just interest payments. That is 55% of all our revenue. So we use tax revenue per. Because my country's revenue is not just tax. Revenue, so even charges at hospitals. Woko court na say you find one. Say sika no. Woko university na kutia AFUF na dia. Ni nyina ba aban futuo. Of course, some of them are allowed to retain the percentage. Yeah. I don't know your revenue, but tax at work can it your VAT direct tax near that. Yeah, the 87% and a service year. As of 2016, 66%. Inti so obejina the end to UK one. UK tax to GDP ratio as of 2020 of 85%. But me no ka say tax to GDP ratio 38%. Yeah, they are 12%. Until they get money from taxes to be able to service their debt in a way I won't to mean. So, and now we're no. Until anybody who compares our debt to GDP ratio to UK, Japan, Denmark, tax to GDP, a 2 to 44%. A country like that, how do you compare yourself to them? So, in any one debt to GDP, 32%. Japan, US war debt to GDP ratio of 99%. But their tax to GDP ratio 25%. They have the means to pay their debt. We don't have it. Now, I will also say, I buy them person beji atum. Say, ya boka into almost all ya COVID. Mr. Sa energy sector payments are working and our friends capacity charges. Last can offer a bar parliament. So we need to be sign a question. It makes sense. Some catching some mutua 12 billion and no till date. Sika mutia 3 companies are a year payments. And when your capacity payments pay. The regular 20% allowance as a come $980 million, less than $1 billion. Meanwhile, a come with over $50 billion. A come with the baby over $50 billion. How does $1 billion make such a huge difference? But the real problem is that on cano crunch. Now, a car macan, HSA, you didn't know. And your mammy will become. Oh, mamma come awesome. And your mammy will become. There, you see, oh, ma'am, I'm not sure. So, what is the issue? Say, the car, and I see you to me, how I want to say, how I want to mean. And I'll be it's a lot about 6 implications. The first point in the say, because of a nunti, who yes, you can yes review. So, what you a 2 de mu or hanchemu and what train soon 87% equal just interest payments. It means you won't have money to do anything else. Until the 13% of your tax revenue, I don't know what they share your friends saying, Apomoding, addition, a Greek, saying energy, any all other sector, health, all other sectors are as a question. How are you going to survive? Another in China, your free be contingent liabilities, who call SOEs, who call VRE, Ghana gas, power plants, binding, GMPC. Any all those other state institutions. Kabia, and you can public debt no. You find no continual liabilities. Yeah, the Nibua about 20 billion Ghana cedis. Arrears, de contractors and suppliers and quantity about 8.2 billion. I don't know. Finance Minister Appendix 4 of 2020 budget. There's a line there that talks about arrears. 8.2 billion. I know because only say almost since January 2020. Omuntia fertilizer suppliers car. And Mohamed Yomoka 780 million Ghana cedis. Those companies, how are they supposed to survive? And it's and say what to say the shortage of fertilizer. They are suggesting
for food and
in the next planting for food and then minister Nenumu. It is on his knees. Nyamia ni one for fear ye benya a food shortages. So you can imagine the implication of that. Now, baby, I wanted the only thing that can save this government is debt relief. Anything anyone was saying, Akufo-Addo, Abra, or call France, or call fast, I will saying, Shepe, a boy, a car, and Omde Saka, you see on person make a check and for some Ghana for Bufunti. Minister, no, I done your fencing, and my job will need or interview or a
question to the right minister. In the right minister will come and
finance minister. He knows every expenditure. I course through gift minister or any officer. If you don't get authorization from the gift minister, won't mean to Ekabia. The finance minister knows the reason why I want mechanism is to Ghana for Bufu. And it's not Akufo-Addo and Kasa, Eko say, or Pacho and fire can change. The only thing that will save this country is debt relief. But the reason why they don't want to go, and they say it will come with conditionalities. They cannot engage in the reckless expenditure or more years. Minister will come to the next one. I will show you other indicators that shows.
Okay.
Say we are so worse off. Say what about Sub-Saharan Africa? We have the worst indices in terms of
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Fellas kwacho for so near 10 and Canada. Remember lawyer Andre Japamesa a year no na fe ya share atwa so Ekosiisen so ni higher Senpai FM. Just keep the messages coming. I'll read your messages for you after Honorable Mesa Ekasewia. Honorable
Obi. Ewo de bia makade say yes ye responsible oppositioner. Ewa. We dey to me comments bi. Osande say etum batsna radio station. Na ka the finance minister wa ba parliament na figures obe can na information about parliament new akoyi sama. Oh, you said so that Ntrona finance minister can deal with parliament.
On the
question that
travel
no, Suhini asked him right now.
No, I didn't say that.
I will payment to
yes.
Our
You said so right now.
Just 1 minute. Obi, 2019.
Oh, Felix, many problem.
Every year,
many problem.
Omutia a year capacity charges of over $500 million since 2017. That should give you at the end of December 2020, should give you $2 billion. Then a member of parliament asks a specific question using question time.
Yeah.
Say, but catcher says since 2017, how much have you paid? Now we'll say $980
But that's
million.
to just 3 companies
But
of the lot.
But first of all, he was asked to come and tell us all payments made.
Okay.
If you come and tell us, say, 3 companies have been paid 980, it means that what you told us, say, 500 million, which one we should amount to $2 billion. If I said that, I have not attacked you. I've stated the
Oh, many problems. I'm saying that. Say, a GZD finance minister with the Ekosiisen on the floor of parliament. You know what to do.
I have not even gone there. It's not part of my discussion.
Because you don't have any basis to proceed. When you engineer do be hard to go forward. Because on the man can make this allegation against a minister of state or was serious implications to the point about to lose Nejumopo. But young fadam step no do because we know that as some here can busremuka engineer do be an your Obi, it's interesting. Document SND Mam CCI. Mascan through one recommendations. Oh, you're interesting there. On the slide 40. The Akufo-Addo Bawumia government must be bold to tell Ghanaian public the truth that the economy has been driven into a ditch and will require urgent financial measures
fiscal measures to pull out of the ditch.
Oh.
Number 2, the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government must seek urgent debt relief from the IMF through the newly proposed debt relief initiative known as the Common Framework for Debt Treatment beyond the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, which can be likened to the HIPIC initiative.
Obi.
Number 3 was a failure by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to do as recommended within the next 18 months would expose Ghana to a high risk of default on its debt service obligations, which will plunge the country into much deeper economic crisis.
Thank you very much. That's the NDC. What verdict too?
By a 4.
Oh, can
final one.
Obi, see about NDC for one verdict. Doomsday. Economy in crisis. No, Obi, say my IMF so working. Only 19 July 2021. Obi, Ghana was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. The government response helped contain the pandemic and support the economy, but at the cost of a record fiscal deficit. The economic outlook is improving, even though risks remain, including from the evolution of the pandemic and rising debt vulnerabilities. The pandemic had a severe impact on the economic activity. Growth slowed to 0.4% in 2020 from 6.5% in 2019. What's the other how started before COVID? This is the IMF. Food prices spiked and poverty increased. The fiscal deficit, including energy and financial sector costs, worsened to 15.2% of GDP, with a further 2.1% of GDP in additional spending financed through the accumulation of domestic arrears. The public debt rose to 79% of GDP. The current account deficit widened slightly to 3.1% of GDP as the decline in oil exports was partially offset by higher gold prices, resilient remittances, and weaker imports. The Ghanaian cedi remained stable against the US dollar, partly due to central bank intervention, and gross international reserves remained at 3.2 months of imports. External and domestic financing conditions tightened considerably at the start of the pandemic, but have improved since, and Ghana successfully returned to the international capital markets for a €3 billion bond issuance in March 2021. Exciting part in me. Also, an economic recovery is underway. IMF growth is expected to rebound to 4.7% in 2021, supported by a strong cocoa season and mining and services activity, and inflation remaining within the Bank of Ghana targets. The current account deficit is projected to improve to 2.2% of GDP, supported by a pickup in oil prices, and gross international reserves are expected to remain stable. The 2021 budget envisages a fiscal deficit of 13.9% of GDP, including energy and financial sector costs, and a gradual medium-term fiscal adjustment, which would support a decline in public debt. In public debt starting in 2024.
Ekosiisen on Asempa FM.
This is the World Bank. One assessment of the performance of the Akufo-Addo administration. Only 19 July 2021, less than 10 days ago. Compare this assessment by the IMF to the doomsday no future that the NDC presented today. And tell the good people of Uganda what saying. Between the IMF and the NDC, when I some of the NT,
the NDC would argue the IMF for the when you Ghana.
Now IMF I want to what side IMF documents the government or report false figures to IMF here. What about now news for John Jirapo, my good friend. My IMF country director of all the figures that government is presenting now, we are aware now. In the IMF, once again, I did what side IMF as basis. In fact, documents are what they want analysis, so-called policy dialogue series. Where did they come from? Here, Obi. This government, the performance is unmatched too. Off enemy, Felix leading come on. Now, Felix say, Mr. O. In 2012, in the absence of a pandemic, we attained a budget deficit of almost 13%. This time, we are in a pandemic. Now you achieve budget deficit of 16%. Your revenues have not been impacted in 2012. The world economy had not ground to a halt. International import and export trade was not in jeopardy. You managed in excess of 12% budget deficit. Now, Bana Waba sign power purchase agreements. Take or pay obligations are yet for electricity we don't need at huge cost to the state. Banking sector, Bank of Ghana full under your watch, went to sleep. My banks, now specialized deposit taking institutions, mismanaged depositors' funds, including funds are abandoned other one by way of liquidity support to sustain one operations. Mismanage those funds such that yen financial system the heartbeat of yen economy was on the verge of collapse. Intaban had to intervene and look for funding to ensure that Ghana full in excess of 1.4 million people one deposit on waste. That has been paid for. In fact, say ECO executive committee, executive board one assessment of Ghanaian economy as we speak. Obi say, you will see
Asempa FM.
The impact of the financial sector cleanup. Now, if you assess this economy coupled with COVID, abandoned revenues significantly impacted indeed. TUC4 will issue statement in the one of the reasons why salary increases are when you want to agree this year and next year. What can they look? Because of the Public Financial Management Act, organized labor will negotiate one salaries for the ensuing year in advance, 1 year before implementation. In 2019, when they negotiated at 2020 salaries, no one knew there COVID baba. But COVID came. Now government was bound to pay all those salaries of public sector workers. In the obviously that impacted government's ability in terms of the revenue and the expenditure items, no, and the equilibrium. Require manage the economy properly. So government paid workers for essentially not producing, absence of productivity. Lockdown and no can win. In order to ensure that going forward, public finances on yet jeopardized or impacted adversely, no. That's why they agreed to the 4% salary increase and also the 7% salary increase for 2021. And so, look, in any event, all these issues are they not in the public domain? Finance Minister consistently read the budget. He tells us where our public finances are. And to sit here, Abra IMF, one assessment, there, positively, we are exiting. As economic activity, say, third wave will impact the economy adversely. And it is impacting the entire globe. A bit and economic indicators. When Germany and Jana Merkel, okay, if we are seeing now there, look, pandemic me. This is not the time that we talk of figures, budget to deficit now coming in. We throw all away and make sure that the lives of our citizens, the one livelihoods, are protected. So clearly, the exercise that they want to do today, they were say in situating in context. Of course, and this food way situated in context, because as far as they are concerned, no. This is an opportunity to go to town and do their propagandist mischief. Because otherwise, everywhere in this world, Abanoya responsible Biano has put aside these indicators. Indeed, IMF cross Ghana ban is being overly prudent. And then you already budgety. Many opinion permission that Mumbon is come away. Also, that he thinks that the finance minister was not bold enough. Also, no kanankutia and kadam pandemic offers us an opportunity to borrow more and do a lot so that we can build the basis of our economy better. But to be better now, the may any NDC for FM. A government that is confronted with a situation, aban all them all year be to protect Ghana for no. Onam dunti, and of course the recklessness, the mismanagement, what Jay Ma Abani has had to deal with, our impact young public finances. No, they are calling on us, saying we are incompetent. Obi,
honorable,
because I am politicians in their radio for media man and was on share opinion. No, I'm saying one anapa. Then you can tell, and ye shall my mamo, or but radio do opinionation, uncoting the blown out. What's all you don't
opinion.
You know the fact,
but you are putting out the fact.
You don't, you know, because Ghana for freedom, NDC, MPP. Felix Abba candidate, a Japanese also candidate, but you owe a responsibility to the Ghanaian people to tell them the truth. Hey, documents must mark. Mortini. Neye jama, mama brother to force no mo. Mawakejina UPSA auditorium. One airtime. Without drawing the minds of Ghana to the real context. Now, before the banking sector financial crisis, can we abandon or expend this car to resolve? Even in the midst of that, check the economic indicators. Obi, share the way Ghana ye lead in foreign direct investments.
On Asempa FM.
The way I'm manamani now what bueno man paying about for the leadership. The highly competent Ghanaian penoforiata na economic management skills are ebe. But there's a certain reality only within the control of government are required there. You do the requisite investment about repair mesa yeni onum ndc full way create abaka pay obi say oh and our abanum 4 years 5 years they be an still like ndc, but listen to them in the waka press conference. What can we win? And so it's important they about to Ghana for an attention to the hey look when you butero the end on me worker say this is what they've cost that this government is cleaning up. Into one team will reprobate and approbate at the same time. We need to call them out. Look, I am confident in an independent arbiter assessment. And that independent arbiter is the World Bank and IMF. One assessment of our economy is clear. This government is doing the right things. Difficult decisions, no order, but no take away. We are on the path of growth. And it's not this mischievous propaganda that is going to take us off track.
But they make the point there, all contest should be the 2020 was an outlier and it should be seen as such. But one argument, the decline began way before 2020.
The decline began way before 2020. Ochadan, have you forgotten the banking sector? When did it begin? When did the banking sector clean up begin? Energy sector payments. When did it begin? Honestly, 2018-2019 budget statement in Nano, we said that look, these expenditure items are banned way in K. It is not in the regular course of governance. On your day-to-day expenditure, but not how the way take a decision there. Mbobo Bosa must spend into Edebaka would debt to GDP ratio into yen treating below the line as exceptional items are. Abanwe who ever? Oh, no, me pay response.
No, me no, the IMF na.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
So clearly, these recovery investments are aban oye.
On Asempa FM.
Economic foundation building policies are aban o implemented in 2018-2019. You begin the year exponential growth. In Ghana, Chrome high in economy. The investment in the planting for food and jobs are in there. Obi, Ghana, you produce the highest volume ever of cocoa production. On a century, 10 weeks. Waka the pen busume bien na the pen bien and sana cocoa season to grow end. But I exceed the highest. What was as a result of what? Prudent policies that were implemented by this government. And just because what will be equalized, IMF. That's why I made you read one recommendations in first. Because that's what they want. And there may be someone there. So what's what your responsible, credible oppositioner? What's rather Ghana for? One far a mambu one function one in Sema. I would have expected. Then can we what can one ask some over now? No, I'm making one alternative policy options. That's say one banuma. Okay, be X, Y, Z.
What's one called the debt relief?
One called the debt relief. Now, when you call Akado, I go for those who work at the debt relief. Go to the IMF. IMF for Ghana anyone engagement on the regular basis. If so, assessing an economy, why few there, aban yen sikasam why such that or they call one hope for supporter, they would have indicated. Obi, COVID be ya economy or impacted by COVID. Rapid credit facility, did we have to go begging for it? Because it was necessary. Have you seen the IMF Article 4 consultations make any such recommendation? The NDC for Ghana free na anyone. One competency levels. One capability. Ebeo. the Kufuor legacy odi Jawan, the oil discovery. Ghana attended GDP growth of 14%. They couldn't sustain it. What price cut na mo do 2.4%. Then all about advice here now. Now me some question. And this is for no about advice and MPP. The economic management team that is headed by the indefatigable Baumia, PhD. The economic maestro. Oh, Obi pa.
No, into one recommendations. No, meba. Recommendations near 4. The Akufo-Addo government must be bold to tell the Ghanaian public the truth that the economy has been driven into a ditch and will require urgent fiscal measures to pull us out of the ditch. The Akufo-Addo government must seek urgent debt relief from the IMF through the newly proposed debt relief initiative known as the Common Framework for Debt Treatment Beyond the Debt Service Suspension Initiative, DSSI, which can be likened to the HIPIC initiative. Failure by the Akufo-Addo government to do as recommended within the next 18 months would expose Ghana to high risk of default on its debt service obligations, which will plunge the country into much deeper economic crisis. 4. The Akufo-Addo government should not wait till disaster strikes and we default on our debt service obligations before taking the necessary actions, as this would weaken our position to negotiate favorably. The risk in not urgently seeking debt relief, no, is a picture.
Obi. Epidemic read the IMF one executive board on assessment of Ghanaian economy. I'm reading
I mean, now,
what's
the bit default on our debt?
A bit default on it. The man said me, what's that Wakanda bar? And I heard Felix say that 13% of tax revenue. And I want to hear then. In fact, time I can offer about Parliament, first time, we reading the first budget. The minority leader, my very good friend, Haruna Drusu, made a statement. Also, where's the fiscal space? How are you going to implement your free SHS? 96.7% of your tax revenue is consumed by only 3 items. You remember?
Ekosiisen on Asempa FM.
Interest payments, statutory payments, and only wages and salary compensation. Scanners. And so there, conveniently, he's all of a sudden forgotten. In fact, the structure of the economy that was inherited by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. But question is, about steps Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Naban we take to ensure that the structure of the economy no changes. Yen revenue structure it's in the digitization. The national ID card system. And then we're integrating with SNIT numbers. We're integrating with TIN numbers. Overnight, tax band will increase. Obi, do you know what that means? That the Ghana Revenue Authority will roll out policies or outline or budget. The revenue basket is likely to increase. That's thinking. Outside the box.
On Asempa FM.
Say I'm okay. Directors emphasize that the authority's structural transformation and digitization agenda are critical to support the recovery. Is that not exactly what we are doing? Mercy, document your online Obi. Read it. Namasrao. Provide public education. But your listeners won't say no who they are. In your Japanas and all the count.
Obi no Oreca.
Obi. I was so trustle. When you there a sharp.
Mamma, some few minutes.
Now, one more few minutes there, them.
Alpha.
Now my data no. And let people judge for themselves. Now work economic management sabe mu annual need for Gambia. They run this economy aground, complete hot. And now we are free. Now I remember. Chama Mahama was was short memory. Say my catcher that me, I'm not a member of the Short Memory Association of Ghana. Imagine the whole clear. Never forget.
Ekosiisen on Asempa FM.
Look, Nobi, share. Now economic management, where and then? Look, this government, Obi, say yenyan and Akufo-Addo abre as president. Ghana chanke by now we really recolonize the aircraft because there was no leadership. Was there leadership between 2012 and 2016 that you saw that had the competencies to manage the economy of this country? Have you seen the number of power purchase agreements that they contracted? Under Nana Akufo-Addo the regime, Project Light schema were rolling out. We defer many of the power purchase agreements. Even the ones that have come on stream, the cost. Energy sector, the mess that these our brothers left there. No more kukudu wakaso. Obi, I'm telling you the honest truth. Sometimes I get amazed when I hear them speak.
Ekosiisen on Asempa FM.
There, nka say, wo yo bi a nka wo ye kude na wote na Akufo-Addo nechi. Ma right policies so implement to improve the lot of the Ghanaian. What's supporting?
Now, some few minutes, maybe you better from Felix, and then I'll come back to you to conclude. Ekosiisen Suni, Asempa 94.